Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, November 5th at 9 a.m. We'll call the Wright County Board of Commissioners to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There's a little echo in the room.
Yeah.
I think he's working on it. All right. First items of business here today is the approval of the minutes from October 15th. We have two sets of minutes. One would be from the public hearing and then the other one from the meeting. We can approve them collectively or individually. I'll stand for any comments or suggestions.
I'll make a motion to approve those.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Holland.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Catchmark. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, minutes are approved unanimously. Today's agenda, does anyone have anything to add to today's agenda or remove? Administration's good. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion that we approve the agenda.
All right, motion by Commissioner Holland,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Catchmark. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes unanimous. Today's consent agenda, would anyone like to remove anything from today's consent agenda for further discussion? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve today's consent agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
All right, motion by Commissioner Holland,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Catchmark. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, consent agenda approved unanimously. And we are moving along here. We're a couple seconds ahead, but at 9:05, at this time, Assistant Administrator Matthijs, we are on the first item of the agenda would be to reappoint Anthony Rasmussen as Wright County Assessor under Minnesota Statute 273.061 to another 4-year term.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I'd like for your consideration to reappoint Anthony Rasmussen as our Wright County Assessor. Anthony, can I call you Anthony or Ant? You prefer Ant. Tony and his team do an excellent job in our assessment process and look to continue that for the next 4 years. So if Tony's willing, I'd like the board chair to administer the oath of office for Tony for the next 4 years through from January 2025 through December 31st, 2029. That means you can't retire.
There's a no retirement clause. I didn't see that in there, but but assumingly you are willing to accept this role, Tony, then at this time I will administer the oath for the county assessor.
Mr. Chair, do we have to adopt the
Oh,
resolution
we do have to
first?
adopt. You're right. I have to make sure that the board is willing to suit him. Thank you for. I jumped ahead one second.
So I'll make a motion to adopt the
right.
resolution to reappoint Anthony Rasmussen as the assessor.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Catchmark, second by Commissioner Holland. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of resolution? Commissioner Catchmark.
Aye.
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 All right. Resolution passes unanimously. All right. At this time, raise your right hand. I, Anthony Rasmussen, do swear and affirm that I support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Minnesota. I will diligently, faithfully, and impartially in the performance of the duties of the office of County Assessor for the County of Wright in the state of Minnesota to the best of my judgment and ability in accordance with the law.
If all I have to say is I do, I do.
You do. All right. Well, thank you very much. We'll look forward to another 4 years of your service, and we hopefully that you will stay every bit of those 4 years for us because you do such an excellent job.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, thank you for the ongoing opportunity to serve the citizens of Wright County. Let me assure you that I'm going to do my very best, producing fair and equitable assessments and administering property tax programs for all 35 jurisdictions in Wright County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, thank you, Tony. You do good work. He especially gets slammed in my district because they move out to Otsego and think that they don't have to, that their property isn't gonna go up in value. And so he gets most of his calls, I think, from Otsego.
Mr. Chair, I'd also like, oops, can you hear me?
Yep.
I'd also like to add a big, big, big thank you. You do a wonderful job. You're with the assessments accuracy. Your whole team just does a wonderful job working together, and even to be recognized by the state of Minnesota with the excellence of your service to the people of Wright County. So thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, and my phone seldom rings for assessor-related items, which I always appreciate, for 60-some thousand parcels that you work on. And then the very short list of people that come to protest, for one reason or another, they do or don't come. But that speaks for itself also. So thank you.
I am blessed with a great staff. Just want to say that it could not be done without them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Second item on today's agenda is the Mr. Detchen requesting permission to apply for the statewide wood waste utilization grant.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. So the first item on the agenda is requesting the permission to apply for this grant. This grant does require a 20% match that can be in kind or cash match. So we wanted to bring this forward for discussion. Obviously, we need to get permission to apply for the grant, but how we scope the tasks of the grant is important depending on what type of match we were providing. So if we were looking at purchasing equipment or something that's eligible, obviously in-kind or labor match wouldn't be eligible to match those funds. So we'd be looking at paring down our application to fit the board's direction for that.
Board members.
Mr. Chair, what are some of the ideas that are you considering to use this grant for?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the idea for micro grants. Typically, grants are only available for public lands. This one, we'd be eligible to apply for grants that would serve private residents. So that is something I was looking into. How much money we would apply for that to help offset costs of tree treatment or potentially even tree cuttings for diseased trees. I think this grant was really pushed forward because of emerald ash borer, but a lot of other diseases such as bur oak blight and such are eligible under this grant application. There's also opportunity to provide those funds to cities and townships as well, not just residents, for the ongoing work that they're doing.
Mr. Chair, I think it's important to talk, like Matt said, about the scope of this grant as we're looking at approving it. And I talked to Matt yesterday, and I want to draw attention. I know we have two commissioners that are working on new design of the plant out there. I think this is probably new and you haven't discussed this, but we have the existing pile of wood chips out there that we're gonna have to pay a lot of money to get rid of. And there isn't really a usable, marketable way for that. So I've talked to him about, this is to discourage burning, but I'm hoping that he'll look into a legal way to potentially dig a hole out there and push some of this in there that we have and burn it, because it'd be a lot less money than having to haul it. The cost to haul and then dispose of somewhere else is, he has the figures, and it'd save a lot if we could dispose of it on site. But then in the future, there's an option or opportunity with this money, if the staff would sort the wood when the people bring it in. That takes a little know-how to make sure your softwoods go here and your hardwoods here. But then there's a process to make it into a potentially a usable bedding material for animals. Now, he talked about buying equipment, and I don't think we should speculate and spend $1 million. That's what he's referenced, a piece of equipment to shred this stuff, when we don't know what the market would be. That's what got us into trouble out there in the first place, is buying machines that worked in other countries allegedly that didn't work here. So there's always a contract, professional service, some gypsy outfit that drags this grinder around and could potentially grind this up into some usable material. And then Matt puts the shingle out, hey, for sale, and then see what we get and go from there. That grant could apply to that. So I'd like to see efforts with the existing pile, which we're left with, there's not a lot of options. But then going forward, what we could do to make a usable product out there and not just shell out money to dispose of these wood chips when this tub grinder comes around and charges us a lot of money to make a pile that we can't do anything with.
Commissioner Catchmark, I think that, along with the micro grants, it's worth applying for the grant and at least seeing what we get out of it, and then weighing out a variety of different options, because if that can work towards getting some of our recycling waste numbers, and as well making a usable product, and then also just the constraints right now on tree removal with all these diseases on these trees, it's quite costly, and I know a lot of people are struggling on how they're going to be able to afford to remove those. So if we can offer some micro grants, potentially, it's worth at least entertaining.
And I just want to reiterate too, I would have to bring it back for approval for the scope of the grant. So if there's any concerns after that grant even accepted, you'd still have opportunity to decline or accept the grant. So.
All right, so at this time, I'll entertain a motion for the permission to apply for the statewide wood waste utilization grant.
So moved.
All right, motion by Commissioner Holland,
Second.
second by Commissioner Dietrich. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Grant application approved unanimously. All right, staff update on County Ditch 19.
Yeah, so I did provide a short report on the status of County Ditch 19. We've hired a professional service and more engineering to complete both a reestablishment of records and a repair report for County Ditch 19. Still both ongoing, but I provided some background detail where they are. So just, I guess, first, if you had any questions about that, and then we can move on to the staff direction portion of that item.
Members, do you have any questions? All right.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. So yeah, as discussed in that report, looking, obviously there's motivation to try to get some repairs done. Portions of the system were cleaned out relatively recently, so that history of repair obviously helps us when we go through the regulatory permitting process. So the first actionable item is authorize the Ag and Drainage and Natural Resource Supervisor up to $20,000 for tree removal along County Ditch number 19. Actually currently pursuing quotes for that are due later this week. But before we would move on and accept that, just getting permission from the Drainage Authority to hire that work to be done.
All right. Any questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Ag and Drainage Supervisor to approve up to $20,000 for the tree removal.
I'll make that motion.
All right.
Well, second.
Motion by Commissioner Holland, second by Commissioner Catchmark. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, just a question, is that pending ARP money that came back from broadband, is that potential use?
Yeah.
We, I guess, because that's a
sure, yeah.
discussion for December at the workshop on how if they desire the board, if we want, because we already reallocated it onto a separate project, so that we removed, so now there's more available money in general fund. If we wanted to take, because there's an increase in general fund at a later date in December, we're going to discuss it at the workshop if we wanted to take some of that money and reallocate it to some of these said projects.
Okay, I didn't know when that's coming up, but for the record, I want to connect that discussion at the right time. But thanks for your continued work on 19. That's kind of a thankless project in some ways, but we have to follow what we're obligated to do. So, we need a motion for that, or?
There was a motion and a second.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Motion passes unanimously. All right. Next would be approve staff to submit a request to the DNR for maintenance of these ditch sections that were repaired in the early 2000s. You want to comment on that?
Yeah, it's just, again, these ones have DNR regulatory review has already been completed. Maintenance had been done. Those are very different repairs and sections of the ditch that haven't been repaired for hundreds of years that the DNR, would still need to review, and that's going to be a much larger, long-scale part of the process for County Ditch 19, but hoping to begin those conversations with the DNR since that has a maintenance history and there was permission given relatively recently.
Mr. Chair, if I could just articulate, we're not asking for permission from the DNR, we're asking for concurrence.
Concurrence, okay. So
We're not asking for a
that's part
license
of,
or a permit, we're not doing any EAW, we're asking for concurrence. So
Thank you for the
if we don't
clarification.
like concurrence, then we'll appoint an engineer and we'll go through that process.
So at that point, staff can make that concurrence request. We,
You're just giving us permission to make the concurrence request pursuant to statute, and then we'll follow that statutory process if the concurrence is not granted.
Mr. Chair, should that be included in this motion?
I just want to clarify that the way it's written in their FBA, it says permission is needed, permission is not needed, concurrence is needed.
Okay. So we just acknowledge that
Yes.
that we said we're doing it, or all right. And the bids are coming in on the 7th, so we'll see how that comes out on that tree removal. All right.
We need a motion, Mr. Chair.
For motion for,
Approve staff to submit the request to the DNR.
okay. At this time, we entertain a motion to,
I'll make that motion.
all right, motion
Second.
by Commissioner Catchmark, second by Commissioner Dietrich for the communication with the correspondence with the DNR. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes unanimous.
Then, looks like, do we move on to number 2, a review more engineering contracted item to hold an informational meeting on County Ditch number 19 prior to submitting the repair report. So as a part of that contract, we did have an informational meeting. Moore is pretty far along in the reestablishment of records and repair report process. So we'd be looking at having an informational meeting relatively just a few weeks before having the actual public hearing on that. Public hearing obviously provides landowners input, during the public hearing process. So just to potentially avoid a confusion and potentially reduce the professional service costs to have them at the informational meeting, we're just wondering if the board just wants to move forward and just hold the public hearing. Obviously, I'm a big proponent of the informational meetings. I think they're beneficial, but since they would happen so shortly after each other, that it might be just better to have just the public hearing on it.
I'd rather save costs on it versus doing it twice over and just incurring more costs, especially when there's such a short gap in between the two periods of time. But that's my own opinion.
No, and I'd agree, as long as the scope of the questioning from the people there will allow, this is informational and a public hearing, that we don't narrow the scope for these people, because the intent is to cover it all at that meeting, so let's let it be covered.
So yeah, we would just be moving forward then with the public hearing, which they would have ways to comment either in writing or email before, or attending the public hearing to provide
And
comments.
I get where your point is, wanting a little bit more latitude on the comments in the public hearing, that as long as it's within the scope of County Ditch 19, we'll give a little bit more latitude since we're not holding an informational meeting, so we can.
That makes sense, Mr. Chair.
Yep. All right.
Awesome.
I do
So-
like the cost savings too, just having one day.
All right. Do we have a suggested time for that public hearing at this time, or are we coming back with that?
We'd have to come back. They'll be submitting the final report here, hopefully soon. So then,
Until we have that date, we don't want to schedule the public hearing yet, so we'll just wait to schedule the date for the informational / public hearing at probably next board meeting.
yeah, that's the hope.
And just so people can think, I'm gonna, of course, lobby for a later the better, for a ditch meeting later in the day.
Oh, yeah,
So I appreciate the consideration, especially with this one.
I thought you were waiting out your term saying later.
No, well,
Me too.
I can't do it. Well, I guess I'll still make it if it's gonna be after the January. I'll still push for the evening deal, because that's what I said I'd do. But if I'm not in the big chair at that time, then that's somebody else, but, okay.
You thought the same thing, that's fine. All right, then at that, there's no other items I attend to on there. Thank you.
Yeah, so we're not doing number 3, scheduling informational meeting, because we're just gonna have it. But we do need to do number 3 is
Yes, the Granite Lake.
Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, final item: approve the lowest responsible bid for Granite Lake Wascob's project, and authorize staff to draft a contract for legal review and approve signatures on that contract. Sorry, I can't speak today. So we received really good bids for this project. As you can see, the lowest responsible bid was MSB Tiling and Excavating for $181,127.50. Just for a little bit of background context, this project is partially funded through the American Rescue Plan and for clean water funds through the Soil and Water Office, so it doesn't involve any landowner costs or anything like that. Came in much lower than our engineer's estimate, almost $100,000. So I'm looking to move forward with that contract, be authorizing signatures once final contract documents are done, to have Greg sign those and get the contractor moving.
No, thank you, Matt. That is nice to see a bid come in like that. I think like $80,000 savings from what we were projecting, so that's nice.
Yeah.
All right. At this time,
I'll
board-
make a motion to approve the lowest responsible bid for the Granite Lake project.
all right. Motion by Commissioner Holland,
Second.
second by Commissioner Dietrich. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. And we're still a little early for our public hearings. We'll kind of move on to items for consideration. So first items for consideration would be to schedule a Transportation Committee, the whole meeting at 10 a.m. on Monday, November 25th. All right. That would be the Monday of Thanksgiving week,
That works for me.
administration.
That's fine.
It works for me. I just want to make sure note if that one is going to be able to be probably done in about 2 hours' time. 'Cause, like, put my name in the lottery to take my daughter to get her driver's test, and you know how that lottery works. You don't miss those appointments. Luckily enough, I don't have to drive to Crookston, but I get to drive all the way to Little Falls because still, once again, the state doesn't have very many access appointments anywhere near where we live.
That's terrible.
But
And you had to wait, you have to call in at midnight, don't you?
yeah, well, yeah, they've released them. I think on
Mr.
like the
Chair, will
first
you
of
be
the month.
present at this meeting then, or
I
not?
will be at that meeting. I just I've got
It should-
I got to leave out at about noonish, so
Yeah, it shouldn't take much.
I just wanted to see if we'll be able to, 2 hours should be enough adequate time.
We need a motion for that then?
That would be unless there's suggestions.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we only have a few items on the agenda. One is updating the 5-year plan to add the 5th year to the 5-year plan as we end this year. So it should be less than 2 hours.
All right. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to set a Transportation Committee of the whole at 10 a.m. on Monday, November 25th.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Catchmark, second by Commissioner Holland. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes unanimous. And next would be to set the agenda for the Tuesday, November 12th Commissioner Workshop. Number of items there included.
Mr. Chair, staff has given you the proposed agenda as of right now. I would like to add an item onto it to discuss the Planning Commission hearing process as also for discussion.
You mean like planning and zoning?
Planning and zoning, Planning Commission.
I will not be at this meeting, so could we hold off the planning and zoning conversation to the next workshop?
I
Being
don't,
as I sit on that board?
I think that's a fair request. There's no urgency on it, so
Okay.
I don't know what staff, there's no urgency on it. I don't know of any emergency.
This is a
on it.
commissioner request that has come forward to us from Commissioner Diedrich, so I informed her I'd bring it up to date for discussion to try to add it onto the next workshop so we could have formal big room discussion, so.
There's not an urgency to it. We can put it to the next workshop.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So with that, is items as presented, so I'll stand for a motion for the agenda for the Tuesday, November 12th workshop.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Catchmark, second by Commissioner Holland. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Agenda approved unanimous. All right, the approval of the lawful gambling application and resolution for the Maple Lake Lions location at Up the Creek Grill. Does their staff have any comments on it? This is usually an annual application if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is an annual application from them for their lawful gambling application through the Maple Lake Lions at the Up the Creek Grill. I think everything's in order as far as staff can see. Yeah, as I think the board is aware, this is a highly regulated activity through the state of Minnesota, so we feel everything's in order. Staff would support approval.
I'll make a motion to approve that application.
All right, motion by Commissioner Dietrich,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Holland. Any further discussion? Hearing none, resolution, aye.
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 Resolution passes unanimous. All right, last item on items for consideration would be authorized signatures on the lease agreement between Wright County and the Wright County Economic Development Partnership for the calendar year of 2025.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I read this over and I don't know if I maybe missed it. I did see that their rate reflects depreciation and everything else, that they're paying the fair rate, but I didn't see anything. It says that it's the use of 951 square feet, but they will occupy these adjacent boardrooms for different events, and that's not spelled out in the agreement that I saw.
So that falls under a separate policy. So any entities that we make allocations to within our policy allows them the utilization of conference rooms. So I guess, how would I say it? This was when we first moved into the building, and I'm not quite exactly sure. Maybe administration knows where that policy was, because I remember we had discussed it early on about how the utilization, who has use of the building and who doesn't.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, you're correct on your recollection of that policy. It's for organizations that are affiliated with the county or that use our facilities, and they would fall into that, where underneath the policy, they could use those conference rooms. How often they use them, I don't think we have a set schedule too much, maybe once, twice a year for a morning, full day, maybe once or twice.
I think it's
Might
about
know,
a
Mr.
half a
Chair.
dozen, probably about 6 times a year.
Okay.
They do a couple, 2-3 lunch and learns. They do one annual meeting, and there might be 1 or 2 one-offs from there, but that's about the extent of it.
Yeah, and when they use that, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Ketchmark, the use of the room is when the room is vacant and no other staff is using it. So it doesn't interfere with any county operations.
Commissioner Vetch, so as to your knowledge, then we're not taking space away from any of the people that need to use it?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Holland, my understanding is no.
Okay,
Their use of our conference rooms on those 6 times a year would not interfere with any county operation.
okay, great, thanks.
And to my recollection, the policy was set up to make sure that county use is prioritized over that of secondary, what would I call it, secondary users. So
Okay,
it's worked so far. We haven't had any situations where we've ran into any issues, so. Otherwise, the rate that's on this lease amount, it meets the cost allocation plan for the square footage for 2025. There's no reduction in that rate, so they're paying market rate value.
I'll make a motion to approve the lease agreement with the EDA.
All right, motion by Commissioner Dietrich,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Holland. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes unanimous. All right, I think we're pretty close here. We'll go back here to our 9:30 public hearing. At this time, we're having a public hearing for ordinance amendment 24-6 for dangerous dogs. Is there any introduction that staff has on this? Tim's making his way up here for us.
Good morning, Board.
Morning.
I don't have any additional comments, just here to answer any questions. And we'll open up the public meeting. We have not received any written or verbal comments.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Tim, would you be able just to do a quick summary of some of the just changes that were made?
Yes, so the ordinance itself is pretty comprehensive and lengthy, but we've really been working through the program the last couple of years, have made a number of language changes just to clarify some items. We're looking at the bulk of our cases fall into the potentially dangerous category, so we clarified the language to better facilitate that process. And I can get into a lot of detail, but that's the quick summary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, Commissioner Diedrich, some of the other changes were just to match what's in state law, update some of the language and definitions, and to just streamline the process on potentially dangerous dogs, and to make the ordinance read in a better, more concise manner. Instead of having things in 2 different places, we put it in 1. So that the process applies to everything instead of having to worry about amendments later on. If we change one, missing another one. So just trying to make it streamline and flow better.
All right. So at this time, I'll open up the public hearing. So anyone in the audience that wish to comment on ordinance amendment 24-6 regarding dangerous dogs, please come forward and state your name for the record. Would anyone like to comment? Would anyone like to comment? Would anyone like to comment? Seeing that there is no comments at this time, I will close the public hearing and bring the discussion forward here to the board. All right. Board members, is there any comments or questions regarding ordinance amendment 24-6?
Mr. Chair, I think it's a step in the right direction, so I'd make a motion to approve if there's no other comments.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Dietrich,
I'll second that.
second by Commissioner Holland. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Ordinance amendment 24-6 approved unanimously.
Just one question. Was this a resolution?
That's the next.
No, sorry. Thank you.
That's the next one.
All right. Next is the adopt the resolution public summary publication for the ordinance amendment 24-6. So the publication summarizing the amendment that was just approved.
I'll make that motion.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Catchmark,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Holland. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Resolution, Commissioner Holland.
Aye.
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 Aye. Resolution passes unanimously. All right. We're going to move down here we'll go to our Health and Human Services agenda since we have about 15 minutes here. We'll come back to our public hearing at 9:45. At this time, the first item on our Health and Human Services part of our agenda would be to approve the Health and Human Services consent agenda. We have 3 items on there, hiring of staff item, replacement of hiring staff. Is there a motion to approve today's consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
All right, motion by Commissioner Holland,
Second.
second by Commissioner Dietrich. Any further discussion?
I just would like to comment that the very first item, the revenue debt coordinator position, I think you all know Tina Klophocky, and that position was her position, and she accepted a position with IT. So we're just very excited for her. She was with Wright County, or with Human Services since February of 2002. So happy to see her staying with the county in a new position that I think will also help serve Health and Human Services.
Very good. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right. Health and Human Services agenda approved unanimously. First item on the agenda would be the adopt the resolution for Health and Human Services 24-2 to accept September and October donations.
And Board, I do have an update on that. If you want the updated or corrected version, it's just to say that it's $375 and not $350. So what you approve by resolution, I'll sign, but that would be the $375.
All right.
And I have a copy if you'd like one.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution for 24-12 for donations to Health and Human Services.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Dietrich, second by Commissioner Holland. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Mr. Chair, it's a
Oh, it's a
resolution.
resolution, you're right, sorry. Commissioner Dietrich.
Aye.
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 All right, resolution passes unanimously. All right. And now, director's comments. Jamie.
Yes, I'd like to invite Laurel Bond up to Laurel Smith. She was Laurel Bond for quite a while. Would you and Kim like to join us? So Laurel is going to take advantage of a upcoming retirement to leave Health and Human Services. Laurel started with the county at the Financial Services Front Desk back in January of 2007. She moved to child support as an office tech in October of 2007, where she's been a positive presence ever since. She's worked through many staff changes, several supervisor changes, and even a building change, all the while maintaining a great attitude, a strong work ethic, and a heart for helping her coworkers and the community. She will be greatly missed by all. As you know, our child support team, many of which are here, are a high-performing team, and much of that can be attributed to the support they've gotten from Laurel over the years. She's been an outstanding employee. Yeah, do you have anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you, Laurel.
Laurel, thank you for all your commitment here to Wright County and to the citizens. We can't thank you enough.
Yes.
I've enjoyed my tenure here.
Anything else, Laurel?
I'm looking forward to retirement.
Thank you and happy retirement.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, going on with the director's comments, just a congratulations is also in order. We are now accredited well water testing facility. As you know, we made some changes in the last year to bring more testing and things like that. One of our goals was to become accredited. Our public health water testing team is Laura Walter, Chastity Jacobson, and Patty Malachek. The team completed the requirements for accreditation through the Minnesota Department of Health. The team has spent many months working toward this great accomplishment. Wright County Public Health now offers accredited well water testing for total coliforms, E. coli, and nitrates. Water sample containers can be picked up at the public health during regular business hours. We are only accepting water samples on Mondays and Tuesdays. We're kind of trying to make sure that it's things don't just kind of come in dribs and drabs, so we can focus on our staff time to accommodate this. Each test costs $30 and results are returned within 2 to 3 business days. So that's just information. I hope when you're out there talking with the community, you can certainly encourage them for their well water testing to come up to second floor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also wanted to provide an update with the Community Connect event that was held in Sherburne County. I had an opportunity to go over there to take a look. It was, I don't know if any of the commissioners made it, it was really amazing. This is that event that was, it's by Sherburne County United Way. We brought the Wright County United Way in along with it. I think you have information in your packet about it, but you'll notice in 2022, they had 237 attendees and 36 vendors. In 2023, they had 183 attendees and 33 vendors. And this year in 2024, they had 960 attendees, 53 vendors. They gave out 43 haircuts, gave away 455 coats and 478 pairs of shoes. But I think the most astonishing part of this was that of those 960 attendees, 1/3 were from Wright County. So really a remarkable effort that kind of came together at the last minute. We'll be evaluating this to see if there's an opportunity to either do a joint one in Wright County with Sherburne County or what that would look like for the future. But really a great, it was really impactful being there and seeing the folks that were coming in, taking advantage of the resources that were available to them.
Yeah, Chairman Betch, I want to say thank you to all the staff that participated, and especially Diane Erkins, who did a lot of work on the backside to work with Sherburne County, but all the partners. We had Wright County Community Action was involved. Just, it was great to see everybody come together and put this event on, and it was well needed for sure. So thank you.
Yeah, it was great. So we were happy to be part of that. And I feel like I'm never up here without putting out some kind of congratulations or laudatory comments about Sarah Grocious. So if Sarah would like to join me, I know she's here. Sarah was, let's see, where am I going with this? She was elected to ORAC, and she's going to help me out with what that stands for again, as the vice chair this morning, and we're stepping down. I don't think that's what I'm reading, though.
She spelled it out somewhere.
Is this what I read right here? That's not it. Sarah has been our 2024
It was in the board comments. Put a-
no,
Yeah, opioid epidemic response advisory council.
right, but you also won an award.
Oh, yeah.
You were
I'm the-
nominated for the,
Yes, I didn't bring that. Yeah, I'm the Local Public Health Association Legislative Award.
award for the state of Minnesota. So that was a very, I would say, for what's this, a time Sarah spends in her position here in Wright County as a Director of Public Health, that she's aiding us in the research and the work she does legislatively, but also the state at large. So that's really amazing. And again, she will be the vice chair of the ORAC committee, which is that governor-appointed committee that I think you're the only county person involved with that. So again, we like to have a county voice in some of these, large state-dominated types of committees. So we're happy to see that she's taking a position there to be impactful as well. Thank you and congratulations, Sarah.
Thank you.
Sure. Chairman Beck, I just want to say that anytime that I go anywhere for public health, for SHAC, she is the rock star. I always say the last one she wasn't able to go because she went to some big convention in California, so she couldn't go to the Minnesota one, and I said I had to know where she was going because everybody was going to ask, and they did. We're so grateful to have Sarah. She's such a hard worker, and so that's a well-deserved committee. We're well represented, for sure.
And it's not just, it's, I would say it's also, we have to be very, thoughtful on our side, because it's a big ask, to have Sarah take the time to do this. And my estimation has been well worth it over the time for the insights it provides us as a Health and Human Services Department to provide you, the board, with the best information we have about how to move through some of these challenging times in public health. Along the same lines, I heard from the Department of Health that we're pleased to inform you that the Minnesota Department of Health Cannabis and Substance Use Prevention Program is awarding funds to the community health boards, of which you are one, as a formula grant. The award for Wright County Community Health is $141,770. This is more of an update from our budget time. We knew we would be obtaining funding for a position for cannabis awareness and prevention, education, that kind of work. This is just, we don't know at the time of the budget what that's going to look like necessarily, so this is just an update to the board that the amount came in and it's $141,000, which is probably what we were thinking. It's right. Yep. So it won't impact our 2025 budget much because I think we were pretty close to that formulaic. We're getting better at estimating what the formula results in Wright County. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
This is just an update. If you remember, we added an adult protection worker this past year, and because we're seeing more adult protection reports, we have had a record high number of incoming reports in October, 124 reports. Typically, we're closer to 80 per month, and we had 101 in September. So as you can see, that position is well warranted and needed, and that we have been getting a lot of referrals. I have one quick additional update. I don't know how close we are to the next public hearing. This is more informational. In October, this happened in our eligibility specialist area. And again, I just want to, I'll echo what Tony said earlier. He's blessed with great staff. We're blessed with great staff in HHS. In October of 2024, an eligibility specialist received a case and noticed the picture on the client's driver's license looked to be inconsistent with the angle that is seen on a typical license. This worker immediately brought this concern forward. After review of the license, there were other inconsistencies. Based on this finding, the agency reviewed all driver's licenses back to January of 2024. We found 5 cases that contained driver's licenses with similar abnormalities. The information was reported to DHS, and they were able to alert all counties of this possible fraud in hopes to stop benefit issuance. In HHS, we're able to investigate the 5 cases and immediately stop benefits from going out moving forward. The case has been referred to our criminal investigation unit and is an ongoing investigation. So this is kind of exciting stuff for HHS. We don't usually get this type of thing. So, but a very good work on the part of the staff to have seen that. They were actually like pictures taken online that were just very generic pictures, and there were other abnormalities in the driver's license. But some big dollars were going out in the SNAP food program, particularly. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. At this time, it is close enough to 9:45 here. At this time, we have published the proposed 2025 fee schedule. At this time, we're having the public hearing for the said changes for the fee schedule for 2025.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, we have published, as you said, the fee schedule and the public hearing notice. We have not received any written or verbal comment on the fee schedule from the public.
Thank you. At this time, if there's anyone that wishes to comment regarding the proposed fee schedule changes for 2025, please come forward and state your name for the record. Would anyone like to comment? Would anyone like to comment? Would anyone like to comment? Seeing that there's no comments at this time, I will close the public hearing and bring it forward to the board for discussion. Board members, is there any questions or suggestions regarding the proposed fee schedule for 2025?
Commissioner Vetch, just wanted to say thanks to staff for putting this together. It was a lot of work. And also, it's nice now that we finally have a fee schedule for the training center. And all of it looks very well done, and so, yeah, I think the whole thing turned out well.
This process of reviewing the fee schedule on the schedule, the fee schedule review, as Mr. Mattice would say, has gone really well. I also love how well you've organized it, so it's very, very legible and very easy to understand on how we've come up with these amounts and the justification for it, so. With that, I'll entertain a motion by board members.
I'll make the motion to accept the fee schedule.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Holland, second by Commissioner Catchmark to approve and adopt the fee schedule for 2025. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you, Commissioner. Our departments did a great job of dealing with us for all our information requests, so thank them, and we'll get those things updated for January.
Thank you. Now moving on to our 10-10, but I think it's not too controversial that we could take that
Yeah,
earlier.
Mr. Chair,
Administrator.
I think we can take that now, Mr. Chair. I can introduce it if you'd like. Before you are the findings of the hearing officer on a tobacco ordinance appeal from a fourth violation from One Stop, get the name right, One Stop Smoke Shop Plus is the assumed name that they're operating under in the city of Albertville. You have the proposed findings from the hearing officer before you. Mr. Chair, I did notice in the packet that staff inadvertently copied the tobacco ordinance resolution twice into the packet, so that's why I handed out to you and put out for public distribution the proposed ordinance for you to adopt the findings from the hearing officer. If you'd like, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to read it, but it's just a verbatim. We're just adopting all the findings as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt that resolution approving the findings of the hearing officer.
All right, motion by Commissioner Catchmark,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Holland. Any further discussion? I will say that this new process for the appealing the claims for tobacco license violations seems to work quite well. I appreciate the thoroughness by Mr. Anderson, and
Yeah, I agree.
this process should work well going forward.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would have to concur with that. I think Mr. Anderson went above and beyond in his findings. I mean, the findings he made, the conclusions, and the recommendation at the end. His 8 pages of work here are well documented and well stated, and it's nice to have him take this process on for us instead of having to do it in this big room.
So this is a resolution. We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Commissioner Catchmark, resolution?
Aye.
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 Resolution passes unanimous. All right.
All right, then, Mr. Chair, the next item is the approval of the tobacco ordinance amendments 24-3. We had a public hearing on this matter previously, so public hearing is closed. I believe we had one person who commented at that public hearing. I have not received any written comments as to it, so we would just be looking for formal approval of the ordinance as presented.
At this time, entertain a motion to adopt ordinance amendment 24-3.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Holland, second by Commissioner Catchmark. And this would be a resolution for the summary
No,
publication.
Mr. Chair, first we have to adopt the
First, we have to
ordinance.
adopt the resolution. That's right.
No,
Then
first we
do
have to
summary
approve the
resolution.
ordinance, then we do the resolution.
Jumping ahead of myself. All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Holland, second by Commissioner Catchmark to adopt ordinance amendment 24-3 for tobacco regulations. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I probably should add some discussion here and thank HHS staff, specifically Rebecca and the public health team for all their work on this. It's been a long process that they've done, and it truly has been a team effort to try to protect the minors in Wright County from tobacco and to beef up our ordinance on this. So I really want to say thank you to public health and to Rebecca specifically.
And I appreciate staff's work on this. It was interesting when going through this and finding little loopholes that we didn't know existed till you get into it and you run into situations and being able to robust the ordinance to kind of close some of those loopholes. So this is a good action. All right. With that, any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. The ordinance amendment 24-3 is approved unanimously. Next, we have the summary publication of ordinance amendment 24-3 resolution.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt that resolution.
All right, motion by Commissioner Catchmark,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Holland for the summary publication of ordinance amendment 24-3 resolution. All right, any discussion? Hearing none, resolution vote. I vote aye.
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 Resolution passes unanimous. All right. At this time, with no other items on today's agenda to attend to, if there's any last-minute comments for public information at this time from board members?
Just to encourage everyone to get out the vote today.
All right. Very good. All right, with that then, we'll adjourn today's board meeting at 9:51. Thank you.